A polynomial in X, a polynomial in X is an expression. A polynomial in X is an expression. A polynomial in X. A polynomial in X is an expression involving a polynomial in X is an expression involving powers of X. Involving powers of X, normally involving powers of X, comma, normally arranged in descending or ascending order of powers. Normally arranged in descending or ascending. Normally arranged in descending or ascending order of powers. Powers, full stop. The degree of the polynomial is given by the highest power. The degree of the polynomial is given by the highest power of X in the expression. Is given by the highest power of X. Is given by the highest power of X in the expression. Example. 2x plus 3. Example, 2x plus 3 This is examples of polynomial expressions. This is polynomial of degree 1. It's either you call it polynomial of degree 1 or a linear expression or a linear map, because this is degree 1. The highest power is degree 1. This one is a quadratic expression because it's of degree 2. So when they say you should identify the degree of a polynomial, you check out for the highest power. Are we together? This is a polynomial of degree 2. Here, polynomial of degree 2, and you can refer to it as a quadratic expression. Then you have a polynomial of degree 3. You have a polynomial of degree 4. Is that okay? Up to nth degree. You can have up to 2 power 5, 2 power 10, 2 power 30, 2 power 1000, endless. So these are examples. And there are ways that you solve polynomial expression. Now, who can tell me the difference between expression and equation? Someone tell me the difference. What is an expression? What is an equation? Go ahead. Which one?
This is an expression.
Okay.
For an equation it equals.
Put your hands together for her. Which course did you apply? Did you apply? Are you doing JAM? Which course did you apply? Eh? Eh. If you see somebody who is mindful of where she is going, you will know. Which school? Where? Osun State. You see, they will give you the course. Now, this is just an expression. This is just an expression. An expression does not have an equality sign. An expression is not equated to anything. It's just like a phrase. It's just like a mathematical phrase. You know what a phrase is in English? That's just an expression. Are we together? But if I come here and I say this is equal to 10, this becomes an equation. Is that okay? You must know the differences. There are times they can tell you to simplify an expression. There are times they'll tell you to evaluate an equation. They'll always tell you to solve for something in an equation, and they'll always ask you to simplify an expression. Is that okay? To simplify means to break it down to the simplest form that it can exist. Break it down. Just keep breaking it down until it arrives at the simplest form it can exist. Are we together? Now, there are plenty methods that you can use to solve polynomial expressions or equations. One of the methods is the factorization. I believe you're already aware, right, of the factorization method to solve. You can also use a formula, which is the quadratic formula, why some persons call it almighty formula and the rest like that. Then you can also use the method of completing the square. Are we together? Now let's look at something and see how those things work. Now, look up, for polynomials of degree 1, degree 2, degree 3, the ways you solve them, or basically degree 1, degree 2, you solve them using the methods I mentioned, which is factorization, completing the square, the formula method. You can use it to solve for this guy. Then you can also use it to solve for some cases of this guy, power 3. Now, from power 3, 4 upwards, you use what is called the remainder theorem. The remainder theorem or the factor theorem to solve them. The remainder theorem or the factor theorem to solve them. So it's not all equations you can use factorization. It's not all expressions you can use completing the square, and it's not all expressions you can use the formula method. So if you have from degree 3 above, you use the remainder theorem or the factor theorem to solve them. Now look at this example. Number 1, evaluate f of x equal to f of x equal to f of x equal to 5x cube 5x cube plus 2x squared plus 2x squared minus 3x plus 6 at x equal to 4 at x equal to 4 at x equal to 4. At x equal to 4. Have you written that? Evaluate f of x equal to 5x cube plus 2x squared minus 3x plus 6 at x equal to 4. What's your answer? What's the answer? Solve it and tell me the answer. Evaluate that at x equal to 4. At x equal to 4. At x equal to 4. What's your answer? 346. What's the expression? What's the equation? Plus
Minus 3x plus 6.
plus 6. Let's look at this guy. Are we together? It's just very simple. All you need to say that at x equal to 4. Now, there are two ways you can do this. You can either replace this x here with 4 and then use your calculator to solve it. Just put 4 here, put 4 here, put 4 here, evaluate with your calculator. You have your answer. Or better still, you can also, anywhere you see x, just replace it with 4. They say at x equal to 4. So anywhere you see x, replace it with 4. When you replace it with 4, use your calculator and evaluate it. You have your final answer. Or alternatively, most of the times, they might prohibit you from calculator and all those things. I think I used to prohibit calculator in JAM, right?
No. There's a small calculation as a system.
That's small, that paper calculator. Okay. So if you don't have a good calculator to solve anything, you can factorize this out. You can simplify the expression first. Simplify the expression first before imputing your x. Now, how do you do factorization? Factorization means to split and then bring common terms together, bring like terms together. You want to factor the ones that are like. You factor them out. Now, this is how it is done. You have x here, you have x here, you have x here. Am I right? It therefore means that you can bring x out. When you bring x out, you have 5x squared plus 2x minus 3 plus what? 6. You can have this. Are we together? Now, 2, please look up. 2 times 5 is what? Huh? 2 times 5 is 10. Now, from these guys that are here, which two numbers can you multiply? When you multiply them, you have 5. When you add them, you have 10. Yes. Yes.
So is it like two numbers to multiply together to get 2 and add together to get -3?
Two numbers you multiply to have 10, add them, you have -3. All right. Look up. These three things, I want you to go home and play around them. How to solve polynomials that is of degree 2 using factorization, using the formula method, and then using completing the square method. Are we together? I will take you into quickly the remainder theorem because those ones are of higher degrees. You may have complications with them. So I will take you into remainder theorem. So from this example that we're trying to do, look up. Now we are just trying to make it simpler so that we can easily put our x equal to 4. If you look at this, you have x here, x here, x here. We first of all brought out 1x. We have 5x squared plus 2x minus 3 plus 6. In this same one here, we also have x, we also have x. We can decide to bring out 1x from this and this, which makes it x bracket 5x plus 2 minus 3. Because this x times this will give us this, and this times this will give us this. So that plus 6. At this point here, you can now put your 4 inside so that you have 4 into 4 plus 2 minus 3 plus 6. Just do this guy here. At the end of the day, you have your result. But the main thing I would like us to do in this polynomial expression now is the remainder theorem. Quickly. The remainder theorem. That has to do with division of polynomials. For those of you doing JAMB, you will need this very well. The remainder theorem. Huh? You need it very well too. Let's look at the remainder theorem. Remainder theorem. This states that this states that if a polynomial f of x, if a polynomial f of x, if a polynomial f of x is divided, if a polynomial f of x is divided by another polynomial g of x, another polynomial g of x, say g of x, say x minus a, say x minus a, comma, the quotient will be a polynomial, the quotient will be a polynomial t of x, t of x of 1 degree, of 1 degree, of 1 degree, of 1 degree, of 1 degree less than, of 1 degree less than the degree of f of x, of 1 degree less than the degree of f of x, the degree of f of x together with a remainder, r, still to be divided, by x minus a,
By what?
by x minus a. That is i.e. that is f of x all over x minus a plus g of x plus r x minus a. This implies that f of x is equal to x minus a g of x plus the remainder. Therefore, x is equal to a. F of a is equal to r example. F of A. F of A is equal to R. F of x equal to x minus A multiplied by G of x plus R. Example. Divide 5x cubed minus 4x squared minus 3x plus 6 by x minus 2. Divide this by this. Solution. Let f of x be equal to this. We have 5x cubed minus 4x plus 6 divided by x minus 2. Let's quickly divide this. Look up. This is how do you all know how to do this long division? You all know how to do it? Now, if you don't know how to do it, look up very carefully how to divide polynomials. You pick the term by term. You pick them term by term. Now, if x is to go into 5x squared, x raised to the power 3, what will you have? If 5x cubed divided by x, what will you have? Now here you are coming to write 5x squared. Are we together? Then 5x squared multiplied by x. You come down here, 5x cubed. 5x squared multiplied by 2 minus 10x squared. You do the subtraction. You will now have, here is 0, here is 0. 6 minus 0, you have 6. Minus 3x minus 0. Minus 3x plus this. Then minus 4 minus 10x squared.
Minus 10 plus 6x squared.
No. Minus 4x.
2x squared.
I have 4x.
So it's 4x squared.
Okay, it's 4x squared.
It will be 6x squared.
6x squared plus 5x cubed minus 5x cubed. 0. So it means that is gone. You now come here again. X divided by 6x squared. You have what?
6x.
Plus 6x. 6x times x. 6x times minus 2. Minus 12x. You subtract. You have 6 minus 3x minus 12x.
9x
9x
plus 9x
Plus 9x. Then 6x squared minus 6x squared. 0. Then x into 9x is what?
9
Plus 9. 9 times x.
9x
You have 9x. 9
minus
times minus 2. You have minus 18. When you subtract them, what will you have?
24
6 minus 18.
24
You have plus 24. You have plus 24. Now, this one here, this 24 is called what? This 24 is called your remainder. This R that you had, which is the remainder, this 24 is your remainder. This guy here is your quotient. Are we together? This guy is your quotient. This is your remainder. This is your what? This guy here is your what? Your f of x is called what? This is the dividend. This is the divisor. You have the dividend, the divisor, the remainder, and the quotient. So every polynomial division comprised of a remainder, a quotient, a divisor, and a dividend for every polynomial division. And after simplifying it like this, you are having your remainder here. The last answer you get here is your remainder. Why this guy on the top here is your quotient. So we are now going to relate this to the definition of our remainder theorem and write out our expression. Is that okay? This implies that your f of x now becomes what? Is equal to f of x, we said, is equal to x minus a g of x plus what? R. Which means that our f of x is the dividend, which is 5x to power 3 minus 4x squared minus 3x plus 6 is equal to x minus a is this guy here, x minus 2, is equal to x minus 2 multiplied by your quotient, which is this guy, 5x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus your remainder is what? Plus 24. So you are saying that when this guy is simplified down, this is the result you are going to get. Are we together? So that is how you simplify a polynomial of division. That is how you simplify it using the long division method. Are we together? You bring out your remainder here, your quotient here, and your t of x here at this point here. So you have that. Any question, please? Quickly do this. Divide. They are not done. As you are finishing that one, you quickly do this. Or let me just write them out for you. You're going to solve this using the same method that I followed to get this guy here. You are going to follow that same method and solve these three guys here. Is that okay? All right. You do that as classwork.